We the mafia, we the mafia, Bills mafia, Bills mafia, we the mafia, Bills mafia, Bills mafia.
What is up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to another edition of the Mafia Cast. How's everybody doing out there? Appreciate you listening. And, as always, hit the subscribe button, the like, the share if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Hit the ratings, the reviews, all of that. We really appreciate all the support. What's going on, Casey? How are you?
Well, I'm not as bad as I was last week. I can say that much. For some reason, I feel like that Jets loss kind of brought me back to my drought roots and definitely thickened the skin a little bit. So it made this past Sunday, everybody's saying it's like one of the worst losses that we've had like ever. And I can understand that take, but I'm used to it at this point in my life.
We're definitely going to dive into the game. I kind of did some digging. That's kind of a little bit of a tongue twister there, but I want to dig into some of the numbers because what I'm seeing in the games is not what's being said by a lot of Bills Mafia or even the media. And so I wanted to pull up some numbers and dig into that a little bit and see. So we'll kind of dive into that a little bit later, but I mean, just ask you, so you're sitting there and you're watching that game. First half, what's going through your mind? How are you feeling at the, half time of that game?
I mean, from the last two games, not great. I mean, we were all making fun of the Ravens when they blew those 3 halftime leads. And now look, we're in the exact same boat. We did the exact same thing. The same way, too. I mean, for all of them. Only the one game we just didn't let the Packers win somehow. That's because they were down to their practice squad wide receivers.
That's all they had to begin with.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, I wasn't super confident the whole time just because I was scared. I mean, welcome to being life of a Bills fan. We're used to seeing stuff like this happen. I was disappointed, but like I said, it didn't last nearly as long as the Jets one did.
Yeah. But, I mean, at halftime, I want to bring up what Scott here says because, I mentioned last week he's a Vikings fan. And to his credit, he has not been harassing me quite as much as somebody else that keeps hitting me up in my Facebook DMs. But so Scott says, great game. Some bad calls benefiting both teams. You guys gave it away. We had to earn it. And that's true.
I agree with that statement.
Buffalo did everything they could to help the Vikings get back in the game and hand that win over to them. To the Vikings' credit, they took advantage of it. They did what they needed to do to take advantage of those mistakes. So there were so many mistakes, though. My goodness. I have never watched a game, and again, I've been watching football since 1988. I've never seen a game where one team won a game so many times only to lose, if that makes any sense. In my mind,
100%.
It does not. But
I get what you're saying. They had so many opportunities to shut the door, and they just couldn't or wouldn't or weren't allowed to. It was mind-boggling watching that fourth quarter.
Yeah, it really was. The main thing. Well, so there's a couple of things that I'm looking at specifically. They're going for a fourth down inside the 10. Like I texted you as soon as it happened. I was like, I am so sick of seeing coaches do this. Just get the freaking points.
So, but everybody, 2 years ago was clamoring for McDermott to be more aggressive. So,
now
I mean, which one is it?
There's an in between.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I look at it. If you're on our side of the field and you're not in field goal range, or if you're like borderline and it's fourth and like 1, 2, or 3, somewhere around here, okay, do it. Go for it. We've got a great defense. So if you don't make it, okay. But when you're in field goal range in a game where you're already up by 2 scores and you can make it a 13-point game at, I believe it was a 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter, and our defense was playing pretty good at that point, you get the points. Like, they talk about all the time in the NFL how I don't know what the number is, but like 70-80% of all the games, regardless of the opponents, it's a one-score game.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then take the damn points. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am so frustrated with that sentiment, and I don't want to go so far as to say that analytics is ruining the game, but I do feel like the coaches are starting to use that as a crutch. Well, why'd
Yes.
you go for it here? Well, because analytics said so. Well, what about the past 100 years history of this game? What is that said to do? Like, you take the points. If we take the points there, I don't think any of that happens.
I think we kick the field goal, we win. I agree with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that completely changed the whole. It just changed everything, in my opinion. And then you go to the 4th and 18, back-to-back sacks to get him to 4th and 18. I was like, all right, here we go. Throws it up. Cam Lewis, um, Justin Jefferson, and next thing you know, Jefferson comes down with it. I didn't play professional football. I didn't play college football. I play a lot, just pick up ball out in the street with my friends and stuff. I know corner 101, you swat the ball. 4th down, you knock the ball away. Even if it's a gimme interception, you knock the ball away because of field position. So that was another frustrating point. I will say this though, just off of my own personal experience. As you guys know, I was in the Army, right? We trained constantly for every possible situation and scenario you can imagine. You train and you train and you train to the point where it's tiring. Okay, I got it. I know what I'm doing. But when the bullets start flying, which I have been in that situation, it does change things. It is far more difficult to think like that and know, and to take the appropriate actions. Um, we were on a convoy in Iraq, strolling along. There's 3 of us, 3 Humvees. I was in the 3rd one, sitting up top on the 50 cal, and we got ambushed. And there were RPGs flying between our vehicles. And in that moment, I spun around to where the firing was coming from, but it did not shoot. I didn't fire anything because we were in the middle of a town. There was women and children all in the streets. It's like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I think it was, but it was pitch black. And we got out of there, of course, obviously. Everybody was fine. But I got a little bit of shit from my buddies because I didn't shoot. I didn't fire at that general direction. And I'm like, there's people everywhere. Like, I'm not just going to start laying 50 cals down range and hope I hit the right thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever seen what a 50 cal can do to a person, but it basically will split you in half. So until you're actually in the situation, despite all the training, I do understand how you might make the wrong choice. I get that. But dang, swat the ball away.
But at the same time, and Justin Jefferson just made one hell of, and it was a lucky catch. There's no denying it. I had this debate with 2 of my friends today, and my friend said that only unlucky calls that there really are in football is whether you get the penalty flag thrown on you or not thrown on you when the opposite is supposed to happen. Basically, like the blatant pass interference or blatant holding where it's not called. Which I understand. I understand that point. But in almost every amazing football play, there's some luck in part of that.
Yeah.
The fact that Cam Lewis didn't get one more knuckle around that football in order to have that much more strength to hold on to it. The fact that just everything that Kirk Cousins threw it perfectly that far, everything just worked out. There is some sort of luck to that. And the Bills, at this point, we're an unlucky franchise. I mean, look at all the bad breaks we've had. My Titans friend said,
feels that way, huh?
Yeah, I mean, my Titans friend said it takes a miracle to beat the Bills. The slip against the Titans last year, Hail Murray, 60-mile-an-hour winds for the Patriots to beat us in our home stadium last year. Botched fumble snap for a touchdown, not even a safety, in the 4th quarter. That catch, I mean, everything. I mean, it has just been – it's just been incredibly unlucky. And there's not much more we can really do than just dig in, keep going, keep fighting, and just do what we did throughout the drought. We're still 6-3. Scott, I've been the one that has defended that it was more skill. Trust me, I'm giving all the credit in the world to Justin Jefferson for making that catch.
He killed us.
Oh, absolutely.
He had almost 200 yards in that game. I think it was. I think it was like 180 or 190.
Yeah, and deservedly so. We just he just outplayed our entire secondary.
And here's the thing too that makes it even more impressive as far as from what I saw was, of course, I saw lots of people on Twitter like, we got to get new corners. Our DBs are terrible. The rookies are playing like, crap, blah, blah, blah. But watch those plays. He was contested almost every single time, and he just made the catch. He out-muscled them and outplayed them to get to the ball. There might have been some wide open catches. I don't recall any. All I remember is our guys were there. They were in good coverage, and he just made the play.
Who we really missed in the second half was Tremaine Edmonds. I didn't see any Tremaine Edmonds slander this week. Nothing. I didn't see any. I told you Terrell Dodson's way better than him. Not from anybody, and especially nobody in particular that I was making sure didn't say anything.
Yeah. I got you. Did you see the videos going around on Twitter showing the Edmonds making or in coverage in the first half?
Oh yeah. Playing locked
I don't know of another middle linebacker in the league that can cover wide receiver straight up like he was. That's insane. And then he goes away. All of a sudden, the Vikings are moving the ball, particularly in the air. I'm going to throw this up there from where did it go? Oh, here it is. I do agree, JJ. I can't get on board with Peterson because both of those interceptions he had were thrown to him. I could have caught those. I'm sorry, Josh Allen. I love you, bro, but those were right to him. So I do agree with JJ being the MVP in this one. It's funny. Nobody's going to say this about Kirk Cousins, but he tried to give the game away.
Oh, yeah. Like his damnedest.
Yeah, he had 3 turnovers himself, I believe. I know there was 2 picks, and I think there was a fumble as well.
The strip sack.
Yeah. So he tried, but we tried harder to give it away.
We're the better team.
So I wanted to ask you as far as the first half and how you felt in that, because I did throw some stuff together. So I got some notes here.
Notes.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot of information here. Everybody's been saying for the last few weeks now, well, this past week, that Buffalo has played like garbage. They're not a Super Bowl team. The last 2.5 games, they haven't been this or they've been that or whatever. But I'm seeing a different game than that, because if you watch these games in the first half, it's very different. Here's some of the points of it. So in the last 3 games, in the first half alone, where's it at? We have scored 62 points in the first half. We've outscored the opponent 62 to, I think it was 27. Yeah, 27. 62 to 27.
It's pretty damn good. It's 9 points.
That's really good.
Opposing.
That's really good. In the second half, though, guess how many points we've scored in the second half?
9.
Yeah. 3 field goals, 1 in each half, and we've given up 50. Now, 50 sounds, it's not terrible, but it's certainly not great for just a half of a game. But we had 5 turnovers, not counting the turnover in overtime. So just in the second half, in the last 3 games, Buffalo's turned the ball over 5 times. The opponents have scored 4 touchdowns on those. That's 28 points right there, which is more than what the defense had given up in the first half in the last 3 games combined. So something is happening in the second half, because the first half, Buffalo's killing it. They're still looking like the same dominant football team that we watched the first 6 weeks. Some more numbers. Total yards, 774 yards of offense in the first half, 258 a half. That's insane. That's 500 yards a game. Yeah. Nuts. You know how many yards they have in the second half in the last 3 weeks?
Feels like about
341.
I'm almost right with 100.
Yeah, 114. on average. And I don't really quite understand.
So what's the difference?
I don't know. The turnovers is a big part of it. Like if you take those turnovers out of the equation, then we probably turn some of those into points. Oh, we know that,
but it doesn't
some
even
of
have,
those were in the red zone,
and it doesn't even have to be points. I mean, just takes
Killing
more
the clock.
time off it takes more time off the clock, at which in the second half is as good as getting points if you have a lead.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this up here really quick because I have something to say, and I'm sure you do too. This is a response to what you said a while ago about Buffalo being the better team. And I'm sorry, Scott, I agree. It's been said, I've heard this said many times by not just fans, but media personnel as well, or media personalities as well. The only team that's better or can beat the Bills this year is Bills. And look at all 3 losses, and that's exactly what's happened. We keep making stupid mistakes that we haven't made previously. So I still contend that Buffalo, they're the best team in the league. They're just kind of going through that slump right now, which happens. It happens.
Did you see the graphic of, well, I think it was all the way back to 2013 of the Super Bowl winners records, like how many losses they had? It was all
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 4, 5, 6. We're sitting at 6-3. People need to relax. I am so happy we're 6-3. Like this could have gone completely awry. Like when the Eagles, like last time they were good. What happened the year after they won the Super Bowl? They barely won like 6 games or something like that. They couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Wentz decided he couldn't. He didn't know how to throw a football. Like it's been hell. I mean, I'm so thankful that we've got to experience 4 years of this. Would I give it up for one Super Bowl? Yeah, I would. Like what the Rams are going through right now, but they won a Super Bowl last year. I'd take it all day long. But the people that are, oh my God, we're 6-3, we're this and that, we're the worst team in the league. People are starting to question
Super Bowl's
Josh
over.
Allen. Yeah, there's no more Super Bowl. We're not even going
Yeah.
to make the playoffs. We're the 6th
Yeah.
seed now. Does everybody know that with literally one win, the Bills can be the number 1 seed again? These standings are going to get flipped on its head 17 times before anything is even set in
Oh, yeah.
stone. Like,
Yeah.
everybody just needs to relax. We're 6-3. There's eight more games in the season. We just crossed the halfway mark. Let's give us some time. We were 7-6 last year. Think about it, was even worse than what it is this year.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this last week. I think it was Tampa Bay. They were 7-5 before they started their run. Last year, the Rams lost 3 games in the month of November.
Yeah, got blown out by the Titans.
Yeah. In fact, I think, if memory serves me correctly, Stafford actually, if he didn't lead the league in interceptions, he was top 5. He was way up there.
He led
because
it.
he threw like 6 picks in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if this kind of thing happens, everybody's coming out here and like, oh, there's something wrong with him. Josh Allen needs to focus on football again and get his mind right because he's too worried about commercials and bullshit. That is the biggest crock of crap I've ever heard. Like, you seriously think these guys are, oh, this commercial, I got to go do this commercial as soon as this game is over.
I can't watch film today. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
You think that's filmed during the season, then you're an idiot. Like, if you think Josh Allen is doing any of this before, like, after, July when OTAs are, I don't know what you're smoking. Like, it's ridiculous. I just don't understand that. These guys have off time. They have off days. They have months off. When you guys have the weekends off every weekend, they work those 7 straight days for 6 months, 8 months, and then they get 2 months off, and then it's back to working out for 6 days a week.
Yeah. Scott, I do see your comments, and I'll get to those here in a little bit, but I want to get back to these numbers here really quick too, because there was some other stuff that I pulled up that was interesting. Everybody's talking about, we got to run the ball. We got to run the ball. We got to run the ball. So I dug into the last 3 games as well in that aspect to see, is there something happening in the run game? And and I found some interesting stuff. First of all, and I think everybody can see this, we're running the ball in the first half more consistently than we do in the second half. For whatever reason, in the second half, I almost said Dayball, but Dorsey is calling the game like we're the ones behind. Which I don't get. Like, run the freaking ball, kill some clock. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So here's what we've got. So we go back to the Packers game. 24 points in the first half. They put up 254 yards in the first half. They had 12 called runs. Now, I pulled out all of the scrambles. I did include the Josh Allen called runs because obviously that's part of the run game, but the scrambles, I pulled those out. So 12 carries, 91 yards.
Oh, my
That's
God.
pretty good.
You think?
That is damn good. Like, I take that any day.
I mean, that's more than 7 yards a carry.
Yeah. The Jets, first half, we had 14 points, total 254 yards again. We had 82 yards rushing on, again, 12 carries. Again, fantastic. That's really good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this one, the Vikings, we put up 24 points in the first half, 14 runs, 70 yards, 266 total yards in the first half. Did have one turnover. We also had one turnover against the Jets in that first half. But this is kind of what I'm pointing out is they are running the ball consistently, 14, 12, and 12 in the last 3 games. They're putting up some good numbers, 91, 82, 70 yards. Here's the second half numbers, though. Against the Packers, we ran the ball 12 times, so the same as the first half, exactly the same, but only 43 yards, which almost 4 yards a carry. So it's not terrible, but even at 3.5 yards a carry, that's still a first down every three runs, right? So that's fine. But they only put up 126 yards and 3 points. So they didn't really do much with, that second half offensively. But the one thing that stood out to me was the fact that that particular game, they ran it the same number of times than they did in the first half. That's the one that we did win. They ran it more in the second half against the Packers than they did either of the last 2 games. That's the one that they won because they shortened the game.
The clock, exactly.
Yeah. Against the Jets, we ran the ball 7 times for 23 yards. That's not very good. But they also only had 43 yards of offense in the second half of the Jets game. Like, the offense was terrible in the second half. I don't know what happened.
No kidding.
Against the Vikings, same thing. Only 8 carries and only 19 yards. Only 3 points, 2 turnovers. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why they're getting away from the run game. I don't necessarily believe that it's a personnel issue. Singletary can get the job. You look at those first halves. Like, what did I say? The total was 243 yards rushing in the first half of the last 3 games. That's fantastic. Like, that's
You'd want that in your last 3 entire games.
Yeah.
The NFL teams would be thrilled with that.
Yeah. So what is changing from the first half to the second half?
So I think you hit it on the head perfectly last week that Ken Dorsey has fallen in love with Josh Allen. I mean, it seems like he just gets in a rhythm in the first half. I mean, he gets in the rhythm with Josh Allen. I mean, calling the plays, getting the run involved, just keeping the chains moving, keeping the ball moving. I mean, this first half in the Vikings game, it looked like he was getting the ball out quicker. They were doing a little bit faster stuff like that. And in the second half, they reverted back to exactly what they did in the Jets game. They just sat back in the pocket, let Josh hold on to it as long as he could to try to take as big of a shot as he could or wanted. It seems like, I mean, Dorsey's young. He's inexperienced as a play caller. I mean, this is all part of the growing pains. I believe. I mean, I think he's just. And I have Josh Allen that we can keep moving the ball if I keep calling the plays. That's not always going to work. Like the Vikings dropped 7 or 8 most of the time.
Yeah, and I think he's being overly aggressive. They're getting the lead, and then in the second half, I guess he just wants to
he wants to sit Josh in the fourth.
Which I get that, I understand that, but you've got to slow the game down in the second half when you have a 2-score lead, especially in the fourth quarter. And in 2 of these 3 games, we had a 2-score lead going into the fourth quarter. The only one we didn't was the Jets. That one we were actually behind. We were down 20-17 and couldn't get jack after, in that fourth quarter. Here's the other thing, and this I found really interesting. I don't have an explanation for it. So while I was digging through all these plays, and unfortunately, it's not easy finding a breakdown by quarter. You literally have to go play by play and add up these numbers on your own. So,
well, me and our crowd, thank you, Ronnie.
So here's the thing. I noticed 3 opening drives, 9 total plays, 8 of them were a pass. All 3 were 3 and outs. 8 passes out of 9 on our opening drives. Okay. Go to the second drive, though. This is where I don't understand what happened. So the Bills' second drive in each of the last 3 games have totaled 26 plays, 16 runs. 16 of those 26 were run plays, called run plays. There was a couple of scrambles in there too, I think. But again, I consider those as passes because that's what they were called. 26 plays, 16 runs, 10 passes. All 3 drives ended in a touchdown. And then they go away from that. 25% of the Bills' total runs in the last 3 games have come on the second drive. A quarter of them. 42% of the calls in the first half were from the second drive. Like, you've got something there. Why are they going away from it? I don't understand. Like, I get Dorsey's young. He's inexperienced as a play caller. He's this, he's that. You and I have never done it before, and we're sitting here telling him what he needs to be doing. And we're not the only ones. Like, media's saying it. Fans are saying it. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Maybe we missed our calling, Ronnie.
Well, I've said that for a long time.
Yeah, amen to that. But my Madden record proves it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. What do you think? What needs to change? What needs to happen? Is it just the play calling? Is that the bottom line?
I mean, like when you texted me earlier and told me a little bit of all of this, basically, that I want to run the ball more effectively. I don't want to run the ball more often. I want it to be more effective. I want it to, in that second half, last game we called 6 runs, and 2 of them were in the fourth quarter, and I believe they both we were stuffed on them. So to me that makes me think that, okay, Dorsey's like, nope, our only option. Like he gets like worried, he panics, and he just reverts back to, all right, go with what we know. Yeah, Josh will save us.
Yeah.
I like Ken Dorsey. I think he can do the job. I think he's proved that he can, just with some of the ways that Buffalo has been able to win this year. But growing pains. I really think that's what this is. He's learning, and he has to learn to find that balance.
Yeah, and I wonder if there needs to be somebody in his ear telling him, like, whether that's Joe Brady or maybe that's, McDermott himself, like, hey, let's kind of get back into this mode a little bit. Well, I wonder if that happens, or if they just, like, he's the OC, we're going to ride with him, he's going to make the calls, and we're going to roll with that. Because
that's my question, because McDermott's head coach. So all calls are coming through his headset, period. So that means he's okaying these calls. Now, we don't know how many calls are going into Josh as a designed run that he's checking out of into a pass. We will never know that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is also McDermott allowing all this to happen. I don't know. I think it's not just Ken Dorsey. It's McDermott needs to learn and be better, and Dorsey definitely has to grow to be better.
Well, and while we're on that, what about Frazier? Like,
I'm a Frazier stan, so I'm probably the wrong person to. I love
Frazier, and I think he's a great defensive coach. I do. But sometimes this coaching staff feels a little rigid. Like, this isn't working, guys. It's okay to change it up a little bit. Last year against Jonathan Taylor, we got ran all over. like 200 something yards, which was great for my fantasy team. The silver lining there.
I played
But-
against him that day.
I
swear to
had
God.
him, but he never came out of that nickel. Like, I just don't understand that. If you're getting the football crammed down your throat, put that third linebacker on the field. Taron Johnson's a great player, but
Yeah, but we don't
you
know.
need-
I mean, we don't know Terrell Bernard's going to be much better than Teron Johnson's going to be, though. They're the same size. You know, I mean, think about it that way. I mean, Teron Johnson's faster and more athletic. That's why he's a nickel corner and not a linebacker like Terrell Bernard.
But he's a corner. His expertise is the pass defense. Like I know he's pretty good in the run defense, especially for a corner, as a guy in the slot. But Bernard has filled in for our linebackers in the past, and he's played relatively well. No, he's not a Milano or an Edmonds, but he's played pretty well.
See, I'm going
You've
to
got-
have to say a lot more from
but it-
Bernard. I've never been a fan.
And not only that, though, you think about this. When you're a slot corner, you're already on one side or the other. You're not kind of in the middle. If you go with three linebackers, you've got the middle covered, and then they can go out to the boundaries if they need to, depending on the play call. If like it's a sweep or whatever, going to the boundaries, then they can react to that. But so often we see our defensive front get gashed up the middle. You got three linebackers, that stops. Now-
So, well, if that's the case, why wouldn't we be putting in Terrell Dodson?
That's what I'm saying. Why
But
don't we?
because he's not that good, Greg.
I think he is. I think he is more than
He-
capable.
He's good. He's good, but I don't want him on the field over Teron Johnson. I'll say that. I love the nickel defense. Ever since I was little, I've always loved it. I never understood why. I would rather have somebody that's able to cover a tight end or a running back or a wide receiver than somebody that is mismatched if it's anything other than a downhill run.
Well, yeah, but that's the point, though, being, and I'm not saying get away from that completely, because this is a passing league, so that's why that they do that. But the Colts are not a passing team. The Browns this coming week are not a passing team. And even like in this game against the Vikings, it makes sense. I'm fine with the nickel because they have
They
the
run-
Dalvin Cook and Thielen and Jefferson and now Hawkinson. So it makes sense. But when you face teams like Pittsburgh or the Jets,
Browns.
Zach Wilson's not going to beat you with his freaking arm. Get out of
Apparently
that
he
damn
is.
nickel. Because we didn't get out of the nickel.
Apparently he can beat you with his arm.
No, they beat us with the legs of their running backs, which
telling
could have been stopped with three linebackers.
you. Oh, Ronnie, you and I
Moving
could go to war on this one.
Okay, so that's all the numbers I have. The biggest things, 2 turnovers in the first half, 5 in the second half, 6 if you counting the overtime pick on Sunday. I just think that second half they need to start shortening the game with more called runs.
Yep,
I
agreed.
think that the effectiveness is there. Do we sometimes get stuffed at the line? Yes, but then sometimes he breaks one. Like he had a 25-yard run in that first half, where he came off tackle and he shook the crap out of the DB.
Time to stop babying James Cook as well. Oh, and use that shiny new toy you just traded for 2 weeks ago. That
0 carries.
Yeah, that might be a good possibility, like a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to a new and better week.
Yes, on to a new and better week. So let me go back to this really quick because I told Scott I would. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. So we've heard this before. This has been kind of a thing, which it is what it is until we prove otherwise again. Even though we won back-to-back one-score games prior to this little slide here again.
I mean, look at the. I'd like him to look up the record from the 3 years previous.
Yeah.
Then get back to me.
Yeah. Well, even the Vikings last year, they were like miserable in one-score games too. This year, they're winning them. It's a
Yep.
very cyclical thing. It's not what determines how good a team is. Sometimes it just happens that way.
When the
Like,
Bills went
it's not-
13-3, they won every single one-score
Yeah.
game that year. Every single one.
Yeah,
This year, last year, we're losing them because that's exactly what Ronnie said. That's what happens. That's all part of it. You're not going to be
Yeah.
perfect every single time.
I will say this: if I could have my pick of Super Bowl teams, I would love it to be the Bills and Vikings.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I think so.
I think that would be.
you're right.
I mean, 2 0-4 teams in the Super Bowl. Somebody's
Yeah.
going to finally get that
Somebody's
first
gonna
Super Bowl.
exactly.
That's cool.
Plus, we get to
Even though obviously I would rather it be Buffalo getting that, even if it wasn't and the Vikings got it,
you
I
can
would be-
appreciate happiness for them.
yeah.
That's the way I was when the Eagles won. I texted my best man. I said, from another fan base that's never won one to one that just got their first, congratulations. Like, I'm happy for you. I can't
Yeah.
wait, and I hope one day I get to see this. Speaking
Yep.
of Eagles, my wife woke up a very happy camper today, knowing that her Commanders beat the Eagles. And then when I turned the TV on this morning, first thing I saw was the last play of the game with all the laterals and the Commanders scoring a last-second touchdown. That was awesome. That was absolutely
Yeah.
awesome.
I watched the game up till, well, I didn't watch the whole game because I was, I'm going to show my nerddom right now, but I was playing God of War. So I was kind of switching back and forth between the game. But, yeah, I can't say that I'm shocked necessarily
I'm not.
because, well, first of all, Washington's got some pieces. They really
and now,
do.
And now they're getting Chase Young back.
Yeah. So they've got some guys over there that can play. And just the way that this season is shaping up so far, it really truly is any given Sunday. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, we've always known that to be the case, even though I think some of us, myself included, felt like there was, Buffalo's going undefeated the way they were playing initially. But again, this kind of thing happens. Anybody can win on any day. So we're talking about the AFC East, but before we get into that, because we'll kind of course, go through the division standings and whatnot. But was there any other games from the weekend other than obviously the Washington Commanders getting that win that surprised you or stood out to you?
To me, like watching the Bucks game, I got to be honest, the score was closer than what the game felt. To me, it seemed like the Bucks were in control the whole time. It kind of seemed like Brady was kind of getting his touch back. He was kind of getting his magic back. I mean, Leonard Fournette went down with injury, but Rachaad White stepped up and ran like a man on a mission. And
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked damn good. My fantasy team's going to be really upset for it. But I mean, he was hitting Godwin. He was hitting Evans. He hit Julio.
That was cool.
I mean, I agree. The Julio touchdown, I appreciated that one.
Yeah.
But just like the Bills, the Bucks might be starting in a slump. They might, they're not going into or coming out of, or they're coming out of it now. Then maybe they're going to hit their stride. And they're in, I'd say, the weakest division in football. I think they're going to walk away with that handily. And
they're 5-5, I think, and then they're in first place too. So
but I think they're going to be scary. One of those teams that in the wild card teams do not want to play.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, that's another team they got some guys over there too. Obviously, they got Tom Brady. You're talking about them kind of coming out of the slump, and maybe their down part of the year was just the beginning. That kind of reminded me back in the '90s, Buffalo. They lost to the Cowboys, of course, in the Super Bowl. The year after that, we played Dallas in a regular season game, week 2. I don't recall the score, but we did win. And Dallas started the season 0-2. And oh my gosh, Like if we'd had social media back then, I could not imagine what people have been saying because just the media alone was like, Dallas is done, it's over, their dynasty is no more, da 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 da. And then they just, obviously they rolled and got another Super Bowl and everything was fine. So again, going back to that whole idea, that shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like it shouldn't change the fact that in our case with the Bills, they're Super Bowl favorite. This loss to the Commanders should not change the fact that the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC and should be considered a Super Bowl favorite.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, Scott's bouncing. He says good night.
All right, Scott. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay game. I did watch some of that.
You're a big red zone guy,
it's good.
Right?
Yeah. If Buffalo's not playing, I got it on red zone.
Me too.
Yeah. There weren't any other games that really stood out that I can recall off the top of my head. We look back at the AFC East, and we just put this up here really quick while we're talking about the AFC East.
Jeff Saturday getting your first career coaching win. I thought that was hilarious. Especially
good point.
Especially over 2 weeks ago, he tweeted out that the Raiders are, quote, trash. And next thing you know, his first career win is against the Raiders.
That's crazy that he got the win. I saw a thing where it something, I think it was on Twitter, but a graphic basically breaking down the snap shares for the running backs for each team. It was geared towards fantasy football, of course, but Jonathan Taylor had like 80-something% of the snap share over Deion Jackson, I think is his name. Again, great for my fantasy team. JT is finally back. But let me ask you, because bringing up the Colts, I've actually seen some Frank Reich love popping up from Bills Mafia, wanting him to come over, and I assume replace Ken Dorsey.
No,
that's it.
You can't get rid of a coach. I don't understand how you can get rid of a coach unless it's blatant. I mean, Urban Meyer. I mean, that's blatant. Like those kind of situations. But the Bills are having success. There's no reason to get rid of Ken Dorsey.
I agree.
Zero whatsoever. I mean, if he wants to come in as an offensive coach, hell yeah, I'll take him. Like, who wouldn't? He was just a head coach. He was an offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl winning team. I want him. I would like for him to be on the staff. Do I want him to replace Ken Dorsey? No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's an unfortunate thing for him, honestly, getting canned from Indianapolis. I think he's a good coach, and I do think he'll land somewhere else as a head coach again. The team did not do him any favors with their QB situation.
I think he got a raw deal.
Yeah, a different quarterback every single year. Like, I understand that they're trying to win now because they have a roster to do that, or at least we thought they did. So I understand trying to bring in a vet, but, I mean, you're bringing in, like, 40-year-old vets, and unless your name is Tom Brady, that's not a good recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Or
looking at the
Carson Wentz.
Yeah. And obviously there's a special place in Bills Mafia for Frank Reich. I mean, he did lead the greatest comeback in NFL history for us.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely history there with Bills Mafia. So I understand why people want him to come over. AFC East Division. Holy crap, dude. Like, what the hell? All four of these teams as of right now would be in the playoffs.
Which, like that graphic on Facebook. Remember when we talked about the AFC West putting 4 teams in the playoffs? And now we were just on the wrong coast. That's all.
Apparently.
This is just insane to me. But
yeah.
To me, the only real surprising part of this is the Jets being as good as they are. Miami, this doesn't surprise me at all. Because I said it all year going into this season that Miami was going to be a hell of a football team getting Tyreek Hill. Because they already had Jalen Waddle. You can't cover 2 all-world speedsters.
Yeah.
But the points are what really tell a story, though. Because up until this past week, this past Sunday, Miami had actually allowed more points than they had scored. So they just finally came into the positive. But look at Buffalo. I mean, they have the highest 99 points. They have
Still the highest point differential.
And it's not even close because the
Yeah.
Eagles were second and they just lost. So
Yeah.
I just Buffalo's a damn good team. We've had some bad breaks these last couple of games. It's been a rough month, but we're about to have a snow game. That's all. And Buffaloes love snow.
You know, I keep hearing too that there's a possibility. Well, I don't want to say keep hearing, but I've heard that there's a possibility they can move the game to Detroit because Detroit's not going to be home. So they are about the same distance from Cleveland and Buffalo. And I think that's happened before. I can't recall. Was it a Bills game?
Well, they were going to move. Yeah, they had to play in Minnesota.
And what happened, though? Because I know that there's a precedent for them moving a game like that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but I hope they don't. Like,
you're telling me
that would be like saying, oh, you guys are playing in Miami next week, and it's going to be 100 plus degrees with 130-degree humid or 100% humidity. We're going to not move the game. So if we don't move that game, that literally almost killed our players, why would we move the Bills game and take away our home field advantage? Because that is our home field advantage.
Yep.
Maybe not so much for Cleveland because the weather's similar, but still.
It has to do with like public safety. And I will tell you, I mean, I saw a thing on Facebook about 45 minutes before we got on here, and the new updated radar graphic was 34 inches by Sunday for Buffalo. I mean,
but that's nothing new, is it?
This early in the year, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, and that's a lot coming quick. And I sent you a picture. We have a light dusting out right now, but I mean, 34 inches is a lot.
Yeah. Would you believe me if I told you we've already had snow here in Idaho?
Probably. I think only 2 other people in my life I've known has gone to Idaho, and it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, we've actually already had some snow here as well. Not 34 inches. I wanted to bring that up because when we were there in January, it was snowing. And the one thing that really stood out to me and my wife as we were walking around and stuff and driving around, well, we weren't driving. We did Uber the whole time so we could check out all the wonderful beer breweries you guys have over there. So I think we're probably pretty much at least buzzed the whole trip. But anyways, the streets were clear. The sidewalks were clear. Like you had 3 feet of snow on either side of the sidewalk, but everything was clear. It was no problem getting around. And that for us was kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool because when it snows like that here, the city's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, oh my gosh, there's snow. Get a shovel out. Let's start moving the snow. Like,
see, this is called practice.
Yeah.
This is called years of practice. It's like tradition around this time for everybody, like to walk around on like a Saturday or Sunday and see a bunch of guys with their garage doors open and just getting their snowblower ready for the year. Not snowmobile, their snowblower, because nobody wants to pay how much it costs to get their freaking driveway plowed.
Oh, don't bring me into that. Oh, that reminds me. This was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe, yeah, I think it's 5. We had what us Idahoans call Snowmageddon.
Did you get 6 inches?
No, we actually get snow here. But I don't remember I don't know the inches or I don't remember, but it was record setting. Like we hadn't had that kind of snowfall in like 50 something years. They said, and I remember. So the streets in the neighborhood, especially, was just ice. I don't know how many times I had to go out there and help a Dodge Charger out of the snow. I was like, dude, keep your freaking car in the garage. It doesn't want work out here.
Rear wheel drive does not work in snow.
Yeah, but our neighborhood, some of the people around here were, complaining about the roads and like, I can't get out of my driveway and it's icy, it's dangerous, which I get it. Sure it is. Just drive slow. But so our HOA spent, I don't know how much, no idea, but so much of our HOA money and our fees that we pay every year to bring in a contractor to clear our streets. The next week, everything warmed back up and the snow was gone. Not gone, but I was like, oh my gosh, I was so frustrated because they had plans to build this and do this in our neighborhood and give us that. All that got stopped because we had to spend money on that. And like,
No
oh my, I
kidding.
mean, if you guys need a ride to work, I got a 4-wheel drive truck out there. I'll come pick you up. You can pay me like Uber fees,
Here's 20. Give me $20. I'll bring you to work.
right? It's funny. We just bought that truck that summer in August, and then a few months later that hit, and I was like, I am so glad we got this truck because we could get out and get around as opposed to being stuck in the house. But
Everybody
anyways,
has an all-wheel drive car around here, at least.
all right, you would have to.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Sorry, we kind of went on a tangent there.
Thank you, Michael.
Score predictions for the Browns. Is there anything with this game that like concerns you? Like, are you going into this game thinking we're gonna be fine, or are you like, oh, I don't know, this could happen or that could happen?
This is going to be a tough game. I mean, Nick Chubb, I think personally Nick Chubb's the best running back, like pure running back in the NFL. He's so good. And
That's a
then
debate for another time, but continue.
we can have that all day long. And then his running partner, Kareem Hunt, the guy that everybody at Bills Mafia wanted to trade for, and for a reason, because he's a damn good running back. They scare
Not everybody.
They scare the hell out of me. No, you and I didn't. But they still have Jacoby Brissett. Their best wide receiver is Amari Cooper, who has played well this year, but has also disappeared many, many times. Donovan Peoples-Jones has stepped up. I mean, he's in fantasy-wise, he's had more than 11 points in the last 4 weeks, which that's pretty good. If you play fantasy football, you can figure out that that's pretty good stats.
Yeah.
I think we're going to break the losing streak against this team. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a closer game, something like a 24-16 type game, 24-17. But I still think the Bills are too good. That's really what it breaks down to. Is I still think they're too good, and I think losing to the Vikings and giving up 196 yards, Justin Jefferson is going to light a fire under everybody's ass, and we will finally see Trey White on the field. I know I said it last week, but I'm going to say it every week until he comes in. I think
eventually you'll be right.
Yeah, eventually, and I don't care how long it takes. I want to see this guy on the field, and I mean, just the way how porous the pass defense was last week. There's enough holes there to where, yes, we're going to finally start giving up some passing yards. We basically have an entire second string defensive secondary. Gee, now that's hard to say. I mean, going against an all-pro wide receiver, he's broken every receiving record there was in the first 3 years of a career. I think Trey White's going to see that and be like, all right, screw this. Let's go. It's time. They need me.
I hope so. I know there's been some talk this week about Trey White and being more of a mental issue now as opposed to physical. I've never personally had any major surgeries. I guess I did when I was 2 years old, but whatever.
You're telling me you haven't had brain surgery?
Nope, I have not.
But that would have explained a lot.
We hear that before, though, with players when they have this type of an injury, that it sometimes does take them a minute to feel confident in the knee. Even though it might be 100%, it's almost like, I guess you could say, like a typical situation with like PTSD. I don't like to necessarily make that comparison because I know people that have truly experienced PTSD, obviously. But something bad has happened to you, and now you got to get past the mental part of it where I'm okay. I can do this still. I can do this again. And so that's kind of the only comparison I guess I would make there. But I mean, I don't know Trey White. I didn't have a conversation with him.
Nope.
So I don't know if that's the case. McDermott, don't have a conversation with him either. I will say this. There are some fans that are out there that are like, well, we need to know this bull crap, half-ass answers isn't good enough. Like, as fans, I'm sorry, I don't buy into the whole notion that
I
we
don't
deserve
feel
or have the
no.
right to anything.
We as fans, you are not entitled to diddly.
And that's
Like,
yeah. I mean, I get it. We buy tickets, we buy merchandise, and this and that. But you know what? I pay for my phone bill, but I don't go in there demanding how your employees are doing.
hey, there you go. Perfect scenario. Yeah. Did Jim get a break today? Like, I get it.
So I do hope he gets back on the field soon, because he's going to need to get football shape, game time, game playing shape. You can only do so much in practice. So we'll see. Maybe this is the perfect game. Well, maybe not if the weather's going to be crappy. Like, you might not want to test that knee on the snow and the ice. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor.
Me neither.
I just want to see this MF on the field. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not growing antsy and like against him or against the Bills. I'm just growing antsy because I'm like, all right, we're starting to struggle a little bit. Like, we could use an all-pro. Like, let's go. Come on. Oh, wait, we might even get 2 with Jordan Poyer. Like,
oh man, we got to get Poyer back on the field too.
Yeah.
Well, all 3 losses have been when he's out.
Yep. Poyer and Hamlin. That's our 2 best safeties on this team.
Yeah, and I do think that before it was Jaquan Johnson, and I felt like he played pretty well initially. It seems like he regressed. I don't know. Okay. And you got Hamlin, of course, and now Cam Lewis is in there, and of course they signed Dean Marlowe, or traded for Dean Marlowe. But I kind of feel like some of these big plays that have happened to us in the last few weeks, and even going back to the Miami game, some of those I don't believe happen if Poyer's in the game.
Correct.
I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they made a really good point. Like, our backup safeties are playing well, but they don't have that game experience, that intuition that tells your brain, I need to do this right now because this is happening, and can process that quickly. Whereas Poyer can. He's seen all of this. He's seen every possible play that can be thrown at him. So he's going to react quicker and get over into position quicker than Hamlin or Johnson or Marlowe or any of these guys for that matter. And that split-second difference makes all the difference.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, 100%.
Yeah. For me, the concern, I have concerns with Nick Chubb. I do. I think our defense is good. I mean, even if you look at the Vikings game, they had Cook bottled up all but one play. And then the last drive of the game, they couldn't seem to stop him. But 81 yards on one play. He had 15 yards on 6 carries prior to that.
Yep.
So I'm a little worried that Chubb's going to have a day. As long as he doesn't have a 200-yard day, I think we'll be fine, though. Because I do think he gets his 100 yards. I do.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that's like any kind of bold take or anything, but Nick Chubb is like a Justin Jefferson. They're going to get theirs.
Yep.
The best you can do is to hope they don't have a career day. Unless we go with 3 linebackers.
Not a chance.
All right. Score prediction. What you got?
24 to 20 Buffalo.
24-20 Buffalo.
Yes, sir.
I think Buffalo scores more than that. Browns defense, while it's not bad.
Snow.
I know. But
Mm-hmm. You ever played football?
Is it going to be snowing during the game, though?
Yep.
Like a lot.
Like Buffalo.
All right, fine. I'm going to go with 27, and I'm going to say 27-17.
I like it. Should we bring our
I think
for a guest appearance?
What's that?
Should we bring our producer in for a guest prediction?
Well, he's sitting there laughing. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. What's up, Mike?
Well,
Oh,
I wore my shirt just in case.
what's your
All right,
prediction there, bud?
what you got?
Those are pretty good predictions, and I think we're all on the same page here. I'm going to say 27-13 Bills. We come back, get away from our losing ways, and hopefully try to put most of that behind us.
I think we will eventually. I hope it's this week, but if not, the sky is not falling. It's a lot of season still. I do want to give you a shout out, Mike. You did predict the Vikings would win. And even though I want to punch you in the throat for that.
And he was 1 point off on both scores.
Yeah. I was going to say this.
We were each so close to
All of us in the fourth quarter.
at one point. But yeah.
All right. One last thing I wanted to do here. I had a graphic I wanted to share, but unfortunately, technical difficulties. It's not coming up. But the Mission 22, again, the Bills Mafia Babes. Oh, and here it is. It finally popped up, so I'll go ahead and share it. But Bills Mafia Babes, they are, of course, supporting the Mission 22 this month. So we're just going to throw this little thing up there. And, you know, I've kind of talked a little bit about my military background today. And so kind of going back to this, and, you know, it is kind of an important one for me. But again, you can go to the Bills Mafia Babes Twitter page. They also have a Facebook group. Go there. The link is there if you want to donate. Anything that's donated through this is, basically a check is written and handed over to the Mission 22 Foundation that supports, of course, the military veterans and their families. So this is pretty cool.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, I say it every time. What these women do for the community and everybody is just so incredible. It's so fun. Like, I don't have like the words for it. I just don't know. I've never met somebody that was so caring about their community and about everybody in it, no matter what, point blank period. No, what Chris and the Bills Mafia Babes do is just it's very inspiring.
Yeah, it is. There's also something today. I'm going to pull it up on Twitter because, again, it was more work that the Bills Mafia Babes are doing. And I know we're a little bit over time, but I do want to kind of shout this one out as well because it's, again, it's really cool. So the Punt Foundation, PUNT, along with Dawson Knox, they held a press conference and announced that $230,000 was raised from over 9,000 donations in memory of Luke Knox. That's amazing. And this is why I love Bills Mafia. And I tweeted this out, and I did a little retweet on it, and I basically said, I know Bills Mafia is frustrated with these games, but remember what's important in life, not the game. Yes, we all want to win. Yes, we all want a Super Bowl. But what these players and some of these fans are doing for the communities and the people, that's what's important.
Absolutely. I saw that same tweet a little bit around the same time you did, and I couldn't believe I couldn't believe. I knew that there was a lot of money raised for Dawson when that happened.
Almost $250,000.
But I never heard like what usually they come out with those totals, kind of quick. And so, but I never really thought that they never came out with it. So when I heard those, almost like you just said, almost $250,000, that's just so cool. Bills Mafia is the best, and this is example A right here.
It is absolutely, and I'll leave on this note, or not leave, but on this note, we'll kind of close the show. There are some people on Twitter that just need to shut up. Like any reference to Bills, Buffalo Bills, Bills Mafia, whatever, you should remove it from Twitter, remove it from your bio, because you're basically an embarrassment to what Bills Mafia truly is and what we are about. Because all the slander of the players and all the attacking and personal attacks of the players and the fans, that's got to stop. I can't stand it. I hate it. Lots of keyboard warriors out there. And if you're one of those people, I'm talking to you. Just knock it off. Stop. Delete your account. Go away. We don't want you. And that's all I had to say on that. All right, till next week, everyone. I appreciate you listening. Again, hit the subscribe button, share, like, review, rate, all of those fun, cool things. We appreciate your support. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.